Good evening and welcome to the May 6, 2026 meeting. I'm going to do roll call. Ms. Healy? Present. Ms. Redmond? Ms. Reborn? Present. Dr. Gonzalez? And at this time, I'm going to make a motion to go into executive session to discuss a particular person or corporation. Motion? Second? All in favor? Motion passes. We'll see you at 7 o'clock. All right, welcome back. We are going to make a motion to open back up to the open session. Someone want to make a motion? Thank you, Mr. Wallace. Second? Thank you, Ms. Freeborn. All in favor? Motion passes. Now we are going to do the Pledge of Allegiance. Before we start, the district clerk has a message about translation services.
Good evening. If you would like to take advantage of our interpretation services, please see Ms. Cass at the table in the back.
Muy buenas noches. Si necesitan interpretación, por favor, diríjase en la parte de atrás para poderle servir con el equipo necesario. Gracias.
Sorry, if you wouldn't mind, mind just rising just for a moment. We're going to have a moment of silence for one of our retired teachers, Petroria Hennessy, who retired from Pulaski Street School. Thank you. If Miss Julie Hatton wouldn't mind coming up to the lectern right there.
Is that right? That's good? Okay. Good evening. My name is Jillian Hatton, and I have the incredible honor of speaking tonight about someone who meant more to me and to so many others than I could ever fully put into words. Before I begin, I wanted to share tonight that I am here with Tori's husband, Ed, her best friend, Joyce, and her brother, Dave. While her mom and daughter and sister are back home, their love is absolutely here with us tonight. Tori Hennessy dedicated over 20 years of her life to the Riverhead Central School District. She taught at Roanoke, Aquabog, and finally Pulaski, where I was lucky enough to know her during her last 5 years of her career. But her impact stretches far beyond those years and far beyond any one building. When I first came to Riverhead, I didn't know a single person. I walked into Pulaski unsure, overwhelmed, and trying to figure it out like any new teacher would. And then there was Tori. From the very beginning, she was my saving grace. I mean, just look at how beautiful she is. She's just the best. What started as a mentor relationship for me did not stay that way very long. Very quickly, she became my family. She had this way of making you feel safe, seen, and capable, even on the days when you felt like you were none of those things. And what I will never forget is that she did all of this while quietly fighting battles that most people could never even imagine. Through kidney transplants, dialysis, autoimmune disease, and type 1 diabetes, Tori showed up. Every single day she showed up. There were days when getting up the stairs at Pulaski was a challenge, and somehow she still made it into her classroom and gave her students everything she had. There was never a moment where you questioned Tori's ability to teach because her heart for kids was stronger than anything she was going through. On my hardest days as a new teacher, when I felt overwhelmed or unsure, she would look at me and say, "Were your students loved today? Did they feel like you loved them? Because if they did, that is all that matters." And I will be honest, there were days when I looked at her like, "Are you kidding me right now?" Because in my head, I was thinking about everything else, the horrible lessons, the behaviors, and the chaos of every day. But she was right, and she was always right. She had this incredible ability to cut through everything that did not matter and remind you of what did. And because of her, I carry that with me every single day in my own classroom. And what I've come to realize is that the way Tori showed up for me was not unique to me. She was that person for so many people. There are countless stories of Tori helping others through difficult times, of being the person people gravitated towards when they were struggling, of being the one who made people feel okay again. People say that she saved their lives in some way, and I truly believe that. Because there was something about her that made people feel better just by being near her. During her final years at Pulaski, Tori and I created something really special together. We teamed up and we began switching classes for a part of the day. It was something that she had never done in all her years of teaching. I remember her saying that she could have never imagined doing that before, but with us, it just made sense. And that is the best way that I could describe what it was like to know Tori. It just made sense. I am lucky enough to now teach in Tori's classroom at Pulaski, which I have always said is the best classroom in the building. And when she retired, I knew I wanted to keep a piece of her in there. In my own way, I claimed that classroom because it felt like the closest way I could keep her at Pulaski. There are still little pieces of Tori in my classroom today. Small things that might not mean much to anyone else, but mean everything to me. One of those things is a sign that spells out the word brave. It was given to her by a student many years ago, and she kept it all that time. Before she passed, I asked her what she wanted to do with it. The way she spoke about that sign, the way she connected to her students, her teaching, and her life made me realize that it was never just a wooden sign to her. It was who she was. Tori was brave in all the ways that most of us will never fully understand, and she taught her students and all of us how to be brave too. So I keep that sign in my classroom, and I keep the pieces of her there, and every day I try to teach my students to be brave the way she did, because in that room, she is still there. Tori's time in Riverhead may have been cut short because of her illnesses, but her impact was not. Her legacy lives on in every one of the students she taught, in every colleague she supported, and in every person she lifted up. It lives on in Roanoke, in Aquabog, in Pulaski, and in all of us who are lucky enough to learn from her. I carry Tori with me every single day, and I know I'm not alone in that, because there are people across this district and far beyond it who are better, stronger, and kinder because of Tori Hennessy. While there will never be another Tori, her love, her strength, and her spirit continue through all of us, and that is something that will never be lost. Thank you.
Next up, we have the superintendent report.
So, Mr. Carlson reminded me of a play that was put on the previous year by Riley Avenue, And he said, I think we can do one again, and maybe just a little bit better since I'm the principal now. So I'm going to hand it over to Gary here.
Well, thank you for making a very difficult transition that much more difficult, Dr. Hagan. And thank you for that, Jillian. That was fitting of the tribute. Thanks for having me. Thanks, Dr. Hagan. Thanks, Vice President Murphy, and to our trustees. So, like our other elementary schools, we remain exceedingly proud of the opportunities that we offer kids during the school day, and in particular, how far we can stretch ourselves to give opportunities for connection and deepening their skills outside of the school day. So while some of our 100 or so participants took part in creative club, in art club, in a storytelling club, homework support, and other opportunities, here to tell you a little bit more about the crown jewel of our after-school programming is our assistant principal, Miss Grimm.
Good evening, members of the Board of Education, Superintendent Hagan, and district leaders. On behalf of our theater program, I'd like to thank you for your continued support of the arts in our schools. We would also like to thank our parents, the production staff, and all the volunteers who helped make this production possible. Tonight, we're excited to present a medley of the production of The Little Mermaid, taking you through a quick version of our performance to highlight all our students. This show has brought together a dedicated group of students working both on stage and behind the scenes, spending countless hours rehearsing, building sets, and bringing the story to life. Our cast and crew have shown incredible commitment, creativity, and teamwork, and we're proud to share the results of their hard work with our community. I would like to introduce Casey Stitt, who will share what this experience has meant to her.
Being in the Little Mermaid Junior play was a great experience for all the fourth grade students involved in the Reader's Theater program. For me, personally, it boosted my confidence. For example, I am usually very shy. I would have never performed on stage in front of others before this opportunity. Another reason is that it was great to be a part of something that took a lot of teamwork. We all worked so hard on this play to reach our final goal of performing a wonderful show. Whether you had a big or small role, everyone was needed and valued. We all had to work together to put on such an amazing performance. My last reason is it was really special to have my family watch me up on stage. My parents and my little sister came. So did my cousins and both of my grandpas. They were all so proud of me, and I was very proud of myself too. Overall, being a part of the Little Mermaid Junior is something we will never forget. We are also thankful to the faculty and staff who guided us in the Reader's Theater program and made our last year at Riley even more special. These memories will always be a part of our world.
Thank you, Casey. Couldn't have said it better myself. We are proud to present the Little Mermaid cast and crew. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Oh, there we go. Welcome, everyone, to Raleigh Avenue School's very own underwater adventure. Before we begin, please fasten your imaginary seatbelts or tailbelts because we're about to dive deep beneath the waves. When it comes to dingle hoppers, I'm a regular encyclopedia. See that you wanna have a hairdo like the folks who live up there do not have flap their wigs. Well, you look absolutely dandy if you use one of these handy little thingamajigs. Thingamabob, pick up the dingle hopper just like so. Toward the way I'm twirling now. Give it a little yank, and there you go. You know what they call the dogs, meow. Whatever, stop. That the human world is dangerous. Up on the surface, a lot of challenges and difficulties exist. What would I give if I could live out of this water? What would I pay to spend a day warm on the sand? Picture on land, they understand, but they don't reprimand their daughters. Bright young women, sick of swimming, ready to stand. Down here is your home. The human world is a mess. The seaweed is always greener in somebody else's lake. You dream about going up there, but that is a big mistake. Just look at the world around you, right here on the ocean floor. Such wonderful things surround you. What more is you looking for? Under the sea, under the sea. Darling, it's better downwards, weather, take it from me. Up on the shore they work all day, out in the sun they slave away. While we devoting full time to floating under the sea. Alright everyone, back to your reef. Something's happening on the surface. I'm talking about Ariel and Batsu. What about her? She sure is acting fishy lately. I'll say, swimming in circles, chasing her tail. That goes up her guilt on something. She's dizzy and she's dreaming. Her head's up in the foam. Her eyes are gonna green. And life is no one home. She floats her little digs, moment on the coastal shelf. Is she ill or insane? Is the water of her brain? One has a heart on her soul. It's the bend, it's the flu. Gosh, I wish we had a clue. Oh wait, oh dear, good grief. It's clear she's alive. She's alive. Pounding hearts, ringing down. Look, I think she's even wearing brand new shoes. She's in love and it's still lying. Letters on September 9. Glory be, Lord above. Got to be, she's ill. You mean Ariel? I'll say. She acts like she don't see me. She doesn't even speak. She treats me like she's sheep left over from my sweet. You'll see her late at night, tossing in ocean bed. Shoot, shoot, shoot. And she sighs and she swoons and she's humming little tunes. Even has a sort of glow. What on earth could it be? Any hammerhead can see that side, that glow, that's true. Oh no, she's in love. It's time for dinner, everyone. Over the wall, under the gutter, and through the window. Now finally, someplace place that's safe. Poisson, les poissons, how I love les poissons, love to jump and to serve little fish. First I cut off their heads and I pull out the bones on the wing. Ça c'est pour toi, delish. Les poissons, hee hee hee, ha ha ha. With the cleaver I add them into. I pull out what's inside and I serve it up fried. God, I love little fishes, don't you? Yeah, right. There may still be hope for love. Percussion, strings, winds, words. There you see her, sha-la-la-la, sitting there across the way, sha-la-la-la. She don't got a lot to say, but there's something about her, and you don't know why, but you're dying to try. You wanna kiss a girl. That's it all. Time is up. It's so happy. Daughter made a bargain. No! Swapped her voice to let him in up where it's is a blinding goodness, yes. Unbreakable unless there's a little something we could try. Go on. Yes, perhaps we could arrange a sort of trade-off. Maybe swap each other's soul for, say, your own. What? Make this deal and set her free. Or else she comes with me to suffer the eternity alone. It's not my soul you're after, it's my power. Now, what would you rather be? The king of the sea or Father Joe's little girl? Finally, happy at last. Yay! What would I pay to stay here beside you? What would I do to see you smiling at me? Your voice now they can walk, now they can run, now they can stay all day in the sun. Just you and me, and I will be part of your
Wow. Wow. Wow, wow. Well, we have one last memory for you. One last memory.
If only I could make my father understand. I just don't see how a world that makes such wonderful things could be so bad. Look at this stuff. Isn't it neat? Wouldn't you think my collection's complete? Wouldn't you think I'm the girl who has everything? I've got gadgets and gizmos aplenty. I've got who's it and what's it's galore. Young thingamabobs, I got 20. But who cares? No big deal. I want more. I want to be where all people are. I want to see dancing, walking around on those, what do you call them? Oh, feet. Flipping your fins, you don't get too far. Legs are tired for jumping, dancing, strolling along down a, what's that word again? up where they walk, up where they run, up where they stay all day long, so loud and free. Wish I could be part of that world. Oh, what would I give if I could live out of these waters? What would I pay to spend a day warm on the sand? But you're on land, they understand that they don't reprimand their daughters. Bright young women, sick of swimming, ready to stand. Anyway, you know what the people know. Ask them my questions and get some answers. What's a fire and why is it? What's a word? Burn. When did my turn? Wouldn't I love to explore the shore above? Out of the sea. Wish I could be part of that world.
You know what? I can speak without it. I would like to congratulate the cast of The Little Mermaid. If you are in C chorus, please step forward. You deserve it. If you were a seagull, stand, come forward, take a bow. If you were a scholar, I'll take a bow. If you were part of stage crew, come take a bow. Stage crew, shout. If you're one of the leads, please step forward. Take a bow. If you are a Manchester, please step forward. Take a bow. And if you were the narrator, please step forward. Take a bow. If you introduced the show, please come out and take a bow. And I would also like to thank behind the scenes Sean Hangman, who does our sound. Digital sound with us, so it was nice to see. And I would also like to thank our producer, Mrs. Menace. I would also like to thank our backstage, one of the stage managers and our house manager, Lucille. I would also like to thank Ms. Phelps, who's my TA. I would like to thank Mr. Carlson and Ms. Grimm. I would also like to thank Ms. Gar, our stage manager. She's not here this evening. But we want a big round of a hand for the big And thank you to everyone for having us. We hope you enjoyed it. All right. So at this time, I will let you know. It's officially over. So you may come to play.
love speech fish. Love these.
Oh my goodness. Well, if there's one person that could follow that up, and good luck, Mr. Rockamp, the Director of Fine Arts. Yeah, I got you. I saw you ran out with the kids. I know. I know.
I walked out and I go, he's not going to call me yet, right? And he did. He did. You got me. Thank you guys for your time this evening. We're very lucky to have very talented music and art students, and tonight we're going to be recognizing one of our artists. His name's James Kennard, and he was most recently recognized by the Parish Art Museum, received an award. Unfortunately, he couldn't be here tonight, but we do have his art teacher, Selena Pagliarulo, who is going to come up and say a few words about James and about the award that he worked very hard to receive. So I'd like to introduce Selena Pagliarulo, high school art teacher.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. As Mr. Rockamp said, my name is Selena Pagliarulo. I am the ceramics teacher at the high school. I've had the pleasure of having James Kennard in my ceramics classes for the past 2 years. And in that time, I've come to know him as someone who is not only dedicated and hardworking, but also a kind of student every teacher hopes for. Someone who shows up, puts in the effort, and is always willing to help others along the way. This year, in advanced ceramics, James created a beautiful origami bowl that immediately stood out. I selected it for submission to the Parish Art Museum's student exhibition, and I wasn't the only one impressed. The museum's curators chose his work as one of only 16 senior pieces recognized for their artistic excellence. At a ceremony on March 20th, James was awarded the Senior Award for Excellence, an honor that truly reflects both his talent and his commitment to his craft. His hard work, creativity, and generosity don't go unnoticed, and I am so proud of everything he's accomplished. I can't wait to see where his artistic journey takes him next.
Thank you so much. Next up, I'm going to ask the principal of the high school, Mr. O'Hara, and Mr. Gassar, the director of guidance, to come up and present the top 20.
Hello, good evening, everyone. We appreciate the opportunity to present to you this evening our top 20 academic students for the class of 2026. Each one of these students has demonstrated exceptional dedication, passion, and perseverance in their academic pursuits. Their accomplishments not only reflect their own hard work, but also the support and guidance provided by our dedicated faculty and staff, as well as their parents. Top 20, when I call your name, please make your way to Mr. Gassar, and then we will gather by the backdrop for photos. We'll begin with number 20, heading to Stony Brook University to major in psychology, Evie Sambitz. Number 19, off to study elementary education at the University of Rhode Island, Madeline Sullivan. Number 18, heading to the United States Military Academy, West Point, to major in war studies and minor in physics, Caleb Gatto. Number 17, going to Boston University to major in biology, Kelly Lopez. Number 16, majoring in psychology at Stony Brook University, Ella Caparos. Heading to the University of Amsterdam, Netherlands, to major in global arts, culture, and politics, reimagining sustainability, Olivia Pluchau. Number 14, off to State University of New York, Maritime College, Navy ROTC, to study electrical engineering, Danica Sweeney. Number 13, heading to Stony Brook University, majoring in globalization studies and international relations, Sarah Hussein. Number 12, majoring in neuroscience at State University of New York at Geneseo, Olivia Esposito. Number 11, heading to Stony Brook University to major in health science, Danielle Polakowski. Number 10, going to Ithaca College to major in music education, Christian Seymour. I did hear that Christian was at work this evening. Number 9, heading to Binghamton University to study actuarial science, Carly Morgan. Number 8, also heading to Binghamton University, majoring in mathematics, Dwayne Morgan. Number 7, majoring in adolescence education and mathematics at State University of New York, Geneseo, Addison Heck. Number 6, heading to Boston University to major in marketing, Joanna Lopez. Number 5, heading to Villanova University to study finance, Tatum Suter. Number 4, off to Rochester Institute of Technology to major in information systems, Joshua Ward. Heading to University of Central Florida, Honors College to major in aerospace engineering, Alex Sliwak. And the salutatorian for the class of 2026, heading to Temple University, majoring in political science, Oliver Earle. And the valedictorian of the class of 2026, heading to St. Joseph's University to double major pre-law in history and political science, Aidan Foss. We congratulate each of these remarkable students and wish them continued success in their future endeavors. And once again, thank you for the opportunity to recognize their achievements this evening. Please join us for photographs.
And I'll go anywhere. Let's go over there and take a quick picture. All right, so we're going to transition to, I had wanted to recognize a few different departments way back in March. But if you recall, the winter was a little difficult for us. And, you know, I was waiting for the right moment. I wanted to make sure that we didn't have any more snow, any more weather. But 3 departments, and what I mean by this is that there are so many different departments that do so many remarkable things. Even, you know, the security coming in and out, our technology department that's helping put the play on. I mean, they just do so many remarkable things. But in this particular scenario, there were 3 departments related to snow that really was truly remarkable. See, while everybody went off on break during February, towards the end of it, if you remember, it started about Saturday night, and it seemed like it snowed for the next 3 days straight. As that happened, our facilities department, our transportation department, and believe it or not, our food and nutrition department were hard at work making sure that everything was in place for when the children returned. So came out on Sunday during the middle of the snow. We went to all the different buildings. I'm talking with the facilities director, talking to the different crews out there, and they're getting it done. At the same time, I go over to transportation, and there are 180 buses in parking spots. Well, each one of those buses have to be taken out, cleaned off. Everything needs to be shoveled behind and put back. But then it kept on snowing, or the wind kept going, so they were working around the clock. What was even more tremendous is when we wound up with a delayed opening, and you come into the school and you say, what are these cars doing in the parking lot? Well, when you serve, what is about 9,500 meals per day, it doesn't matter if everybody is coming in a little bit later, food and nutrition, they have to be in because the food needs to be prepared. And they do it without any kind of complaint. They're just consistent, and they're just remarkable teams of people making sure that all of those things that we take for granted sometimes, particularly when it doesn't snow, but when it is, having all those parking lots cleared, having the buses running, the cafeteria is up and running, everybody's served with their meals. I just thought it was really important to recognize the food and nutrition department, transportation, and facilities for their remarkable efforts, which proved to be a very difficult winter. So point being, if you become superintendent, make sure that you don't have any snow in the forecast because it's not fun, all right? But really, thank you so much, and what I'm going to do, and each of these plaques are going to be, they're exactly the same. It says Riverhead Pride, and on the bottom, which was so fitting, is Infinite Possibilities. So I thank Mr. Keith Graham, Anthony Reed, and Mr. Anthony Martina for your efforts and your teams. Thank you so much.
You're good.
Next up, I'd like to call up, or at least introduce our Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum Instruction, Ms. Laura Curry.
Now I'd like to turn it over to our Chief Information Officer, Dr. Emmanuel Hernandez, who will be presenting our report card.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm excited to share our district accountability data with you today. Our journey today is going to start large and on a statewide or federal education level, and then take us all the way down to the smallest data point, talking about our attendance. At the very end, if you look at our agenda here at sections 5 and 6 are resources for you. I will not be going through them today, but they are going to be made available for you should you want to dive even deeper into some of the information I'm sharing with you. But we're going to start today with our ESSA indicator overview. ESSA stands for Every Student Succeeds Act. It replaced No Child Left Behind. Then we're going to talk about the New York State receivership overview. Then we're going to dive into our accountability statuses here within the district. And then we're going to dive into each indicator that gave us those school-wide statuses. So to begin, we began a new phase across New York State called the Reimagine phase. We left the Rebuild phase. And in that phase, there were some changes in data points that schools are now held accountable for. So if you see up there in red, there's 2 categories that had some modifications. For instance, science was brought back as being an accountability metric for schools on an annual basis. If you look at our yellow categories there, those are no change. Those are exactly the same as they were in the rebuild phase. And the blue ones are now restored indicators. They were previous indicators that were removed, and now they're brought back for this year's data. And the green is a new indicator. And that green one it does mean go. And in our district, that green is doing very well here in Riverhead, and it is a positive change. Before, they used to look at chronic absenteeism only. So you're only capturing data of your students who are not performing, and you're giving schools ratings based on that. That has shifted now. So every student can count toward your attendance rate, which incentivizes your students who are here to come here even more often, or it gives opportunities for students to improve within that continuum. So it's an excellent shift in the state accountability system, and here in Riverhead, we're making a huge strides in that, and that's where we're going to end today. So we're looking at the support models here in New York State. It is a hierarchical pyramid, but we're just going to look at it in a lateral sense so we can kind of get an overview of the different designations that a school or district can get. So if you look in the green area there, the boxes under that, those are only schools or subgroups of data within schools will receive the CSI, ATSI, TSI, or LSI designations. And if you look at the purple, your district can either get LSI, which is Local School of Improvement, or a target district. The way your district would be designated a target district is if any of your schools are beyond the LSI designation. So that you would be, even if it's just one school or one subgroup that's designated as TSI, your entire district becomes a target district. The CSI and ATSI are designated every 3 years, so we are in a designation year, the 25-26 school year. So this year, CSI and ATSI designations were given out across the state of New York. And the other designations are given out annually. So now, like I said, that receivership model is a hierarchical pyramid. The top of the pyramid is where you receive the most comprehensive support, and the lowest of the pyramid is local school improvement. That means that your district will continue to strive for excellence on its own. At the very top, that's the most state support that you can receive there. So now, what we're going to do is we're going to look at Riverhead over the series of 2 years on that pyramid to see how we fell from the 24-25 school year and now in the 25-26 school year. So what we'll notice is in the 24-25 school year, we had over 50% of our schools in the LSI, which is at the very bottom of support, meaning that's just local supports here. In the TSI range, we had Phillips Avenue Elementary, and in the ATSI range, we had Riverhead Middle School that was there for 3 years. At the very top of the pyramid, we had Roanoke Elementary School that was there for 6 years they were a comprehensive school of improvement. So those were our designations prior to this year. When we look at this year's pyramid, we'll notice that virtually every single school is on the local school of improvement plan, which means that here in Riverhead, we're doing what we have to for those schools, and now it's up to us to continue to steer that ship of excellence. We have one focal point left in our district. We have one school that shifted up to the CSI model, and now that school is our focal point. That's what we're going to be looking at, and that's what we're going to be supporting, so that way we can remove that designation of target district, and we can become an LSI district and have 100% of our schools in the LSI model. So we're getting closer. We're getting closer. The state gives us this designation in a table like this. It's the same information. I just thought showing you in a pyramid was a better visual for you to kind of internalize, you know, the shifts between the two. But this is the actual state report that we get that gives us those designations. So now it's important that we understand, or that we dive into the data points. The data points that built that designation by school. So we're going to dive into each indicator result, or each category, and understand that a little bit deeper. So every school is weighted in 5 different categories at the elementary and middle level. In order to be considered, this year, in order to be considered a CSI school, your school had to be a number 1 in the first 2 columns and a 1 in any of the following 3 columns. So we can see why Phillips Avenue this year was designated as a CSI school, because in weighted achievement average and core subject performance, they received a 1 in both categories. And then in the student growth area, they received a 1. A 1 means below expectations. The key at the bottom will explain the rest of the designations. On the opposite, Roanoke conversely had 2s in both of those categories, which is why they're now off of the CSI list that they were on for 6 years. So they did a tremendous job improving there, and they didn't have a 1 in any other category across the board. So really good strides there at Roanoke Elementary School. And then up there at the top, you'll see that there's a target area, which is student growth. We have been working with our data points to look at what is that student growth metric, and why is that showing up in our district so heavily in the 1s? And then, like I said, if we look at that far right, that attendance column, I think last year when I presented about attendance, it was kind of it was a tough point for us, but we have really been making some excellent strides with attendance. So we're going to shift now into the high school categories, and at the high school level, you have 6 categories. And here, we notice that the high school has no 1s, which is excellent. So we are at least approaching or meeting expectations across the board at the high school level. There are 2 areas particularly to look at. That would be the graduation rate, or that would be the college, career, and civic readiness group. Later on in the slides, like I said, those categories are broken down, and the college, career, and civic readiness category talks about the diversity of the diploma type. So you can have advanced Regents diploma, seal of biliteracy, seal of civic readiness, the arts pathway designation. Those diversify, or the foreign language pathway exam, those diversify your diploma types, and that would continue to improve that score for Riverhead. But we do know, like I said, even in the high school area right now, unofficially, it's unofficial until the end of the year in August when Dr. Hagan certifies our data, but I will tell you that attendance could possibly be a 4 for multiple schools in our district. And I just wanted to share, we have been, as a district, looking at our attendance data more regularly. I have been kind of gamifying or making healthy competition just so we can kind of engage with our data points in a meaningful way, because they're not just data points for a sheet of paper, they mean something. And so what I want to share with you is a video that for our elementary schools of the most recent update here in April of this year.
Welcome aboard this explainer. Let's dive right into Riverhead's elementary school attendance and ride this data wave. So we're setting sail to see which school is absolutely making the biggest waves with their attendance. We're charting our course using the official spring 2026 Navigator logs straight from the State Education Department. Our target, level 4 attendance. That's the perfect wave, meaning kids are present over 95% of the time. Here's our fleet of 5 elementary schools anchoring the district in March. Just look at those different sizes. Pulaski Street totally dominates the fleet. It's the biggest ship, carrying a massive crew of 776 students. But wait, which of these dedicated crews actually caught the most perfect waves of level 4 attendance? Pulaski Street takes the crown. They literally crested the wave at over 54% perfect attendance in April. That means an impressive 424 out of 780 students navigated the month almost flawlessly. Pretty incredible, right? Now watch this momentum build. the tides dramatically shifted toward much higher attendance from March to April. Like Aquebogue Elementary, they saw their perfect attendance crew beautifully swell from 166 to 180 students. Phillips Avenue totally caught the wind too, bumping their estimated attendance index up to 181.1. Meanwhile, Riley and Roanoke held super steady courses, both successfully growing their perfect level 4 student counts. Honestly, the best part is that every single elementary school saw perfect attendance numbers rise across the board. A rising tide literally lifts all boats. Pulaski leads, but the whole fleet showed fantastic spring growth. With this amazing momentum, can Riverhead achieve completely smooth sailing by June? Thanks for catching this explainer.
So that was shared with our building principals, and we have our Pulaski fleet leader right here with us here, so we want to congratulate her. Good job. Yes. But the other thing that we know is we know that when our students are in our schools with our teachers, they can live to, or they can exceed to their fullest academic potential. And that's what's most exciting. Yes, it's a data point, and yes, we can celebrate good data, but more importantly, it's the impact of that data. So the last few things I have here for you, as promised, there are descriptors. These are just short snippets of what makes each of those data points in the ESSA categories. And then at the very end, if you are a info nerd like me and you want to dive into all of it, you can either scan that QR code or you can click the NICED link there, and it'll take you to everything ESSA with PowerPoint slides, one-pagers. It'll give you all of the algorithms, like the linear regression that's used to use the algebra scores for 8th grade. I totally nerded out on it. Feel free to dive into all of that, and I thank you all so much for your time and this opportunity. Yes, and if there are questions,
Question?
Yeah. Oh, okay. If you're looking at it, the farthest left column is like the most, like the quick grab, like the quick read one-pagers. The middle column are thorough explanations of like PowerPoint slides and slide decks broken up by category and subject. And the far right, that's like the real technical guides, the PDFs that are like the New York State guides, and they're really dense and really thorough. So if you want a quick grab, stay to the left. If you want to really dive in, go all the way to the right column.
This is a great, to see all our schools go to, everyone but one go to LSI is a huge accomplishment, both by our staff and our students, focusing in on what needs to get done. Like I tell my son, going to his job every day.
Right.
Thank you. That was a great presentation. And just to be clear, the acronyms changed from last year, right? The CSI, LSI, did any of the names change? Or?
Did not change, but what's new this year, it's not in there, but when schools kind of have a rough year with a subgroup, they have what's now called PTSI. So there's 2 designations, and that's new. So PTSI 1 and PTSI 2 are kind of like your warnings, right? So in a subgroup, if you have, a certain subgroup performing or underperforming, you'll get a PTSI 1 and then a PTSI 2, and that is new. Those are new designations. They're like sub-designations.
Thank you.
Yes?
So, can you speak to why Phillips is now a CSI school? I mean,
Sure. Yeah, so we've been diving into a lot of the data. Specifically, what happened with when we look at the weighted achievement average or the core subject performance index, you look at the state test scores. And there's 2 things you want to look at. The first thing is, are students testing? Because at the federal level, they want you to test 95%. And they will weigh you against the 95% number, regardless if students opt out. So if you have 100 kids that are supposed to test, but 50% of them opt out, you have 50 scores you're just missing right off the bat. And they're still weighing you out of 100. So we look at that first. Phillips was not in that boat. The second thing you look at is how many ones did you get on an exam, because ones do not count ones count the same as not testing. In order to count them in your numerator or in your score to get weighed, they have to have a 2 or higher. And so what we did was we really took a dive and we wanted to look at the amount of ones, and we really wanted to look at, well, how close were we, right? What happened? Were these ones low ones, middle ones, or high ones? Because that's also indicative. And what we were looking at is that there are a lot of really high ones where students were super close into the threshold. And we did a lot of equation kind of analysis of scenarios, conditional scenarios. If this happened, if these 5 kids did this score, if these 5 kids got 2 more questions right, would we be in this situation, you know? And so it's very close. It's very close. So there is a high proliferation of students receiving 1s on the ELA scores in Phillips Avenue.
And is it, do they have unlimited time now? Is that what it is too? So there's no limit to these?
Yes, students have unlimited time to take the examination, but they have to finish it each session within a school day. So there's no time is not a factor anymore. So once they start that test, they start it first thing in the morning. They have until, they have to get on that bus to finish and submit that examination.
Some of them might have testing fatigue.
Right. Yes, and last year was the last year that we tested on paper. And traditionally what you see too is test scores are higher on computer-based tests. And so this year, all of our elementary schools were 100% computer-based testing. So I'm also hoping to see how that impacts the data.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, I think we're all good. Thank you so much, Dr.
Thank you.
Hernandez.
Thank you.
Next up, we have the public hearing for the proposed 2026-2027 budget with Dr. Cardasano.
Good evening, and thank you for entertaining this budget hearing. Is an education law requirement. This we do every single year for probably the past 20 years as another form of communication and to our residents. So the information that we're presenting tonight is the data we have reviewed over the past several months. There are a lot of numbers, so there is a handout that's being provided in both English and Spanish for those to follow along. So basically, we're looking at the board-approved budget for 26-27 that's going to the voters compared to the voter-approved budget for the current 25-26 year. And you will see that's about a near $7.5 million increase, or 3.5%. New York State requires that we present the budget in 5 different sections. You clicking, Dawn? Okay. Earth to dawn. So these are 5 different sections. General support, instruction, transportation, community service, and undistributed. And you will see in general support, we have spoken about those are the categories that are our attorneys, our auditors, our property insurance, and facilities. And that is about a little over a 3% increase. Instruction is just what it sounds like. Gen Ed, special ed, clubs, athletics, fine arts, all rolled into those 2000 codes, and that is a 2.34% increase. Transportation is exactly what it sounds like: students on buses, home to school, special ed, field trips, private schools, occupational education. If it's on a bus, that's the category. If it's on wheels, that's a near 17% increase. And over the past couple of months, we've spoken about that. It's basically not only because of the increase in salaries, but the increase in minibuses for special ed children and the increase of student transportation to the Riverhead Charter School. The last category, undistributed, that's a very funny word for bonds and benefits. Bonds and benefits. That's a 3.88% increase, and those are the benefits that we pay based on our bargaining union contracts: health insurance, dental, vision, life. It's also our pension systems, ERS, TRS, and our bonds. So when you add up all of those numbers and all of those percents, it's about the $7.4 million increase, or 3.5%. And I've said it before, that we feel that we are presenting to the public an instruction-focused budget that has a sound financial plan. And when I say an instruction-focused budget, look where all the increases are. They are in instruction, transportation, and benefits, with a little bit of money to pay the electric bills. So the state also requires that we scramble these numbers from 5 sections into 3 different, what they're now calling components. Administrative component are the supports we have for our programs. Instruction is just what it sounds like. It's our staff in the classrooms and on our fields. And the capital component is that which is our buildings. So when you look at those increases, it has to equal the same $7.4 million or the 3.5%. So we know that the opposite side of the expenses are revenues. And the revenues and the expenses must be equal to have a sound fiscal plan. Here, we always start with the bottom line, which is the tax cap. This board, as boards for the past 20-something years, have said we are not piercing the cap. We are going to live within our means. And for this year, that is an increase in taxes of 2.9%. So we take that first number, taxes. We take the second number, state aid, which is estimated about a little over $90 million. As you're aware, we still don't have a state budget. So this is our best projection with the information we have on hand right now. Then we take a summary of three numbers. It is our interest, our miscellaneous revenues, our tuitions, it's our different reserve funds that are going to assist us, and the pilot payments. So you just like at home, you add up all of your revenues, you come to a bottom line number, and that would be $218.8 million. Again, a 3.4% increase or 3.5%. So basically, we are proud and we have confidence in presenting a fiscally sound budget with a strong instructional program for the community of the Riverhead School District to support our educational plan. All of these budget documents have been updated. They are on that webpage on the district website. And we really just want to, again, express our thanks not only to the board, to my colleagues in district office, in our cabinet, to the principals and directors in the field that participated in putting these numbers together. And thank you for the board for supporting this budget that will go to the voters in now just about less than 2 weeks, away. So does the board have any follow-up questions?
I don't have any questions, but I just want to thank you, Dr. Parzano and Dr. Hagan. I understand that you've call it the Budget Roadshow. You've been all around the community and presenting what you have presented to us in such a comprehensive way that the taxpayer can fully understand what is involved in our budget for next year. And I just want to thank you for the time and concern that you have taken, not only to update the board and keep us informed, but to keep the taxpayers informed. It's greatly appreciated.
You're welcome. Thank you. All right. Thank you very much.
Do we have any public comments? Questions?
I think she was at 3 presentations, along with Mrs. Kess, who's been on the road show with us for translation services to our community. So thank you all very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Cardesano. Next, do we have any public comments on agenda items? Any online, Dawn? No. Okay, make a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion.
Thank you, Ms. Redmond. A second? Thank you, Dr. Gonzalez. All in favor? Oh, any questions or comments? No. All in favor? Motion passes. That was for the consent agenda. Now on to new business. The approval of the first reading of the revised board policy. This is the approval of Board Policy 8112, Health and Safety Committee. Motion to approve?
Motion.
Thank you, Ms. Freeborn. Second? Thank you, Mr. Wallace. Any questions or comments? All in favor? Motion passes. And that's it for the agenda, quickest agenda ever. Next, we have committee reports. The first one, Health and Safety.
Okay, the Health and Safety Committee met on April 15th, 2026 and confirmed its next meeting for June 4th at 4:30 p.m. in the middle school library. Security Department provided updates on the RAVE emergency notification system. Administrative training is scheduled, followed by training for staff across all buildings. Committee members discussed concerns about the reliability of the mobile app due to limited cell service, particularly at the high school, as well as broader implementation challenges. Staffing shortages among security personnel were also noted. The Facilities Department reported that the energy performance contract, what we call the EPC, is in progress, with lighting upgrades approximately 60% complete and additional work completed over the spring break. Upcoming solar-related work may impact some parking areas. The committee also discussed ongoing concerns with key distribution and the need for long-term solutions. Recent improvements to facilities were acknowledged, and an upcoming building condition survey was noted. The Transportation Department had no updates. The Technology Department reported the successful implementation of a multi-factor authentication for students in grades 2 through 12. An increase in cyber attacks during state testing was also noted, with reminders for staff to remain cautious when handling unexpected emails. Additional discussion included classroom conditions during warmer weather, ongoing cell service limitations at the high school due to outdated equipment, and progress on vaping detection devices, which are expected to become operational soon. A request was also made to consider rotating meeting days to better accommodate participants.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Redmond. Next is Policy Committee report. The Policy Committee met on April 17th, 2026 to review policy updates, discuss pending revisions, and establish future priorities. The committee received an update on Policy 5205 eligibility for co-curricular and extracurricular activities. A policy subcommittee has been created and will begin meeting later this month to review the policy and develop recommendations. The committee emphasized the value of input from staff directly involved with student activities at the middle and high school levels. Regarding Policy 8121.2, automated external defibrillators, the board has advised that the policy has been updated, but a supporting regulation still needs to be developed. Administration is reviewing examples from other districts for possible use. The committee also discussed Policy 8411, school bus scheduling and routing, noting that the district is currently operating under a retired policy. Updated recommendations are being developed by the Transportation Department to better reflect current practices in routing software. Under policies for discussion, members reviewed Policy 1131, social media policy. Proposed revisions would clarify that the comments on the district social media platforms were turned off and not permitted, reinforcing the district's social media is intended as a one-way communication tool. The community discussed implementing any changes over the summer, so revised policy can begin with the new school year. The committee also reviewed Policy 8112, Health and Safety Committee, focusing on clarifying language regarding the construction-related inspections and the composition of an expanded committee during capital projects. Consensus was reached with making those updates. The discussion took place regarding Policy 8410, student transportation, including possible future adjustments to transportation boundaries for students in grades 1 through 4. Younger siblings already receive transportation. Any proposed changes would require the cost and routing efficiency, followed by voter approval through a referendum. If pursued, a decision will need to be finalized by February 2027 for possible inclusion on the May 2027 ballot. Finally, members noted internal audit recommendations to review Policy 5210, student organizations, which will be added to the next committee agenda, along with any policies requiring annual review. The next policy meeting is scheduled for May 27th, 2026. Facilities Committee report.
Okay, Facilities Committee met on April 21st to review the district's maintenance work and current capital projects and future facility needs. Mr. Anthony Martino, Director of Facilities, provided an overview of the work that was completed during the spring recess. Projects included deep cleaning throughout the district, mulching, grease traps pumping, pothole repairs, painting of the middle school gymnasium. I don't know if everybody has seen it, but if not, you should walk across the hall. It absolutely looks incredible. It looks like a brand new room in there. Improvements to the Phillips Avenue playground and the flooring work at Riley Avenue and Phillips Avenue. Additional lighting upgrades were also completed at several buildings through the EPC. Administration noted the importance of photographing in-house work completed by staff and future planning for document purposes. The committee received updates on the kitchen renovations being done at Riley and Phillips Avenue. The first on-site construction meetings is scheduled for April 28th, which is past. Planning is underway and all required bonds and insurance documents have been received. A large outdoor freezer unit for Riley Avenue has been ordered. Construction is expected to begin after the school year and be completed before September. Because district buildings are used throughout the summer for students and program and community activities, it will be coordinated so the companies will work around them. Mr. Martino also reviewed the process of the Energy Performance Project. Lighting upgrades at the middle school are nearly completed, which are probably done now, I think. Yep. With additional work continuing at the high school, Roanoke, and Riley Avenue schools. Solar construction has begun at the high school, beginning with the foundation work for the support of the structures. I don't know if you've driven through the high school parking lot, but those cement pads are taking up very, very little space, and I don't think we're going to lose any parking spaces at all there. Now I lost myself here. Okay, boiler equipment and other major components have been also ordered. Administrative reported that the district remains on schedule with a goal of completion overall projects approximately 16 months. Projected energy savings from the light and solar and efficiency improvements were discussed. Dr. Marianne Cardesano reviewed plans to seek the board's approval in May or June to use the repair reserve fund during the 26-27 fiscal year. Preliminary list of projects have totaled approximately about $1 million. HVAC components, flooring replacement, boiler work, storage tank, hot water systems, upgrades, and infrastructure needs. The proposed declaration room, de-escalation room at Riley Avenue School was discussed. Committee members have raised some concerns about trash being left on the fields after, community use and during athletic events. That was going to be all looked into. And following the meeting, we toured the middle school gym, which I was saying, if you haven't looked at it, go take a look. It's beautiful. And thank you, Mr. Martino and Dr. Cardesano, for everything.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Wallace. Do you have any board member remarks? No? I actually, I just want to take a minute to wish our teachers, our faculty, staff, nurses, administrators, bus drivers, TAs, aides, a very happy appreciation season, because that's what we're in. I can say from the bottom of my heart, it reminds me every time I walk into a building how lucky we are as a district to have such amazing people taking care of our kids every day. I'm gonna get emotional because, our children are pieces of our hearts that are outside our body. So when you drop them off at school, you pray that they're gonna be in the right place, and Riverhead is home because of the people who work here. And I'm so extremely grateful, and I know the rest of the community is. So make sure you thank your teachers, staff, faculty, bus driver, everyone, security, for everything they do, because they're the reason why we have such a wonderful district. Okay, any public comment? Oh no, next we have our CFA.
Gregory Wallace, our CFA president. Both of my children had Tori Hennessy. We actually met her in Florida at Met Spring Training last year. My family used to play cribbage. Does anybody here play cribbage? Right? So my grandfather taught me how to play cribbage, and I used to play with my Uncle Jerry. And then during COVID, might as well teach my kid a new skill. So I taught Shane how to play cribbage. Well, it turns out that Tori played cribbage. So they would play cribbage at lunchtime. It was like, she called me up, she's like, I can't believe your kid can play cribbage, it's the most amazing thing. So, you know, she'll be missed, terribly missed. So I work at Riverhead. I never know what the reaction will be when I utter those 4 words. Invariably, I have to answer, well, how is it there? And my answer is the same each time. There's no place like it. I'm sure the members of the district office cabinet would agree, right? You came from the outside, you can, you know, we face challenges that no other district on Long Island faces. Over the last decade, Riverhead has lost $125 million in tax revenue between the Riverhead Charter School and the Riverhead IDA. Our foundation aid was never fully funded to the tune of $190 million. I can't even wrap my head around that, right? Charter school plus IDA plus foundation aid equals $315 million. Dr. Cardasano, what could you do with $315 million? Quite a bit. Oh, and I forgot to mention, Riverhead Central School District is responsible for educating the incarcerated youth of Suffolk County, and it also counts against our graduation rate. However, we do have a dedicated and compassionate faculty. The work we do here is purposeful and impactful. Every day in this district, the trajectory of a child's life is changed. But that's the beauty of a local community public school. Our doors are open to everyone. Gifted students, students with disabilities, students whose native language is not English. We accept students who leave the charter school with open arms, no matter what the challenges they have. What we don't do is refer to our students as bad as hell, as the superintendent of Riverhead Charter School did recently in a public YouTube video. The children of this community, they're our kids. Whether they go to the public school or they attend the charter school, they're our kids. And it is abhorrent that an educational leader would speak about our children that way. Unfortunately, charter schools, their employees, their board, and their finances are not accountable to the voters. It's not accountable to the public. By definition, charter schools are the loss of local control. The citizens of Riverhead must approve a budget each year. Members of this community can run for board, and you face the scrutiny of voters every 3 years. The charter school board is appointed, and their members don't need to live in Riverhead. But what if we could change that? What if there's a way that we could re-enfranchise the voters of Riverhead when it comes to charter schools? Well, that's exactly what we're trying to do. Currently, in the New York State Legislature, there are 2 bills. One is sponsored by Shelley Mayer out of Westchester. She is the chairperson of the Educational Committee. And the other is sponsored by Ramos, the Deputy Speaker of the New York State Assembly. So it's Senate Bill 9568 and Assembly Bill 10729. What's amazing about this is there's now regional appeal, right? The charter school fight was our fight. We beat the drum for 20 years, and then they started proliferating, and it was a Long Island issue, right? Well, but now we have a senator from Westchester. You can't get anything accomplished in state government if you only have one region. So, but we're running out of time, right? Each day that goes by with the budget lessens our chances of getting this passed. The session ends on June 4th. This bill is in committee. You know, we set out about 18 months ago to attempt to get legislation. I had no idea what that looked like or what that was going to entail. But within 18 months, we have bills. But we have to get this done now, right? Because the charter school lobby was caught flat-footed, They didn't see us coming. If you read the latest two newsletters from Empire Charters, who's a lobby group for the charter schools, like they are citing Long Island against charter schools. So they are preparing to mobilize. We caught them completely flat-footed. If we don't get this past this session, it's going to be a much heavier lift. So we're asking everyone to call their state representatives. We need to flood them with calls. We're going to try regionally to flood them with calls. And we want to make sure that if they're going to use our funds, then we should not be shut out of the process. They shouldn't. If a community wants a charter school, then let them vote to approve it. But if they're going to use our tax dollars, then as citizens of this community, we should have a say in what is done with them. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any comments from Ra? No? No comment? Any public comments? No? Online? Yeah.
I have one online comment that is from Heather Hirata from Aquabog. Her comment is, will the bilingual classrooms be offered at the Aquabog Elementary School for the upcoming 2026-27 school year? If so, when does the lottery take place?
In Aquabog, it will be in grades 1, 2, and 3.
Nothing else? Okay, then make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Motion?
Thank you, Ms. Freeborn. Second? Thank you, Ms. Wallace. Any comments, questions? All in favor? Meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much, and we will see you on, I guess, May 19th.
Please help support the Riverhead Central School District YouTube channel by subscribing. If you are not already subscribed to this channel, please be sure to push that subscribe button and click the bell to receive notifications. Thank you.